Baby, you said you need some help using Trig to find the missing side. Well, guess what? I can help you. Oh, hey y'all. I'm about to help Baby Bob find the missing side using Trig. I noticed that some of y'all need some assistance with the same answers as Baby Bob. Well, I do pride. There's 4 steps. If you go through these 4 steps and you know your trig functions, you could use trig to find the missing side of a right triangle. The only time you could use trig is when you have a right triangle. So let's look at this one here. Oh, I know it's right because that 90-degree angle. And it says here, triangle PDE is a right triangle. So since it is a right triangle, we could either use trig or the Pythagorean theorem. But right here, we can't use the Pythagorean theorem yet because we only have one side. If we had 2 sides, we could use the Pythagorean theorem. But we only have one side that was given to us. And we also have an angle. So we could definitely get triggered with it. First, step 1. Label those steps. I hope you're listening, Baby Bob. You listening? Come on, put you right there. There she goes. She's listening now. Oh, step 1. Label. We need to label each side. Where's the hypotenuse? Where's the opposite side? Where's the adjacent side to the angle? So here's theta right here. And theta with the side that is always opposite right in front of it. There's our opposite side of theta. It's right in front. So let's label that opposite. And then this 90-degree angle, it's always pointing at that hypotenuse over there. So there's our hypotenuse. And then the last side to label, which would be our adjacent side, the side that is really, really close to the angle. So cool. We done labeled everything that we needed to label. Now we can go to step 2. This is going to help us identify which trig function to use by looking at the information that was given and what we're looking for. We're looking for x, which is adjacent to theta, and they gave us the hypotenuse. So I'm looking for a trig function that has to do with adjacent and a hypotenuse, adjacent and a hypotenuse, adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to use cosine. We've identified which trig function to use, cosine. Now we need to write this equation so we can solve it. So I'm going to go with cosine theta, which is the angle, is going to equal the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Now, we just use the trig function to substitute in the information that was given to us to write an equation. Now that we got an equation, we can get triggered with it and solve it. Now, from that Get Triggy With It video, I noticed a nice little helpful hint. They said when you set up these equations and your x is up high, you multiply. So you're going to multiply the trig function by what's in the denominator. 15 times multiply cosine 42. So once we put that in the calculator, let me get my handy dandy calculator. This is my original calculator that I used when I was in college. We're going to do 15 times cos 42, close that parentheses, and that's going to equal bada boom, bada bing. So that is the measurement for the side. I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth. So our x is approximately, that's why I got my squigglies, it doesn't equal, it's approximately 11.1 units. Cool. So I just use these 4 steps to use trig to find the missing side. But I've only found one side. I only found x. Now they want us to look for y. So I'm still going to find these steps, follow these steps I labeled. I've already labeled. So I can straight go to 2 and identify, well, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the opposite side. And they gave me the hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse, opposite hypotenuse, opposite hypotenuse. We're going to use sine. So sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. So all I did was substitute all that information into that function. Now, that little trick, it told me when I got my unknown value up high, I multiply. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So y is going to equal that denominator times sine 42. It almost looks like this equation here, but we use the different trig function. So let me use that handy dandy calculator there. I'm going to do 15 times sine 42, and that equals 10.03. So I'll just put 10 point. Y equals approximately 10 units. So we just figured out x and y by using trig functions. Now I'm going to put that in there smaller. I'm going to use that same steps in these word problems here. Now we're really going to get tricky with it, because you got to use trig in this word problem. A firefighter is rescuing a cat in a tree. You see my cat? Shout out to Sarah. Thank you for drawing that cute little cat for me. If the branch that the cat is on is 15 feet above the ground. Oh, okay. So now I see where this 15 come from. It's 15 feet above the ground. And the ladder makes an angle of 63 with the ground. Okay. How long is the ladder? Okay, so we're trying to find the length of this ladder here, which is still a side of the triangle. It makes a beautiful right triangle. So now that we know we made a right triangle, we have an angle and one side, we could definitely get tricky with it. I'm going to put an X here since that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the side, the length of this ladder. So, okay, let's see. First, I need to label my triangle. So I got theta here. This is right. That's opposite that. So I'm going to go put op. And that always points at that hypotenuse over there. So I'm going to put hype. Okay, I'm not going to put anything there because I'm not really using that information. I don't really need it. But I do need the opposite and the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use that with this theta, opposite and hypotenuse. I wonder what trig function got opposite and hypotenuse. So I'm going to use sine. So let me set that up. We got sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. My X is not up high, it's down low. And I remember from that trigger video, when X is down low, you divide, you know. So we're just gonna like kind of replace this sine 63 and put it right here. It's like we're switcherooing. And now we got 15 divided by sine 63. Once again, this is all straight calculator work. I'm gonna use this handy dandy calculator right here. Let's see, let me put in 15 divided by sine 63. Close that parentheses. I get, okay, so that missing side, that ladder, is about 16.8 feet. So my X are the length of that ladder that we're going to use to get that cat out of the tree. It's about 16.8 feet. So hopefully you and Baby Bop understand just a little bit better how to get these missing sides by using Trig. Also, Baby Bop, one thing I do want you to never ever to forget is when you're hanging out with BJ and when you're hanging out with Barney and when y'all leaving, please don't forget to tell them you love them.